Give me my theme music. What's up, Buff Nation, and welcome into Buffs News Weekly Live, your Sunday recap show for the weekly game. Appreciate you guys for joining me either live or later on if you're watching this on YouTube. Greatly appreciated, of course. Hit that like button while you're in and subscribe. Of course, after a CU loss, we see a massive drop in subscribers each and every time. I swear this is the most bandwagony thing that ends up happening around here. But I know if you're in here watching either now or later on, you are a true deep blue, black and gold Buff fan. I know it's really hard today. It's going to be really hard. I want this to be a place for everybody to come, air their grievances, talk about what they've thought of the game last night. But also, I want to really step back a second and really look at the whole picture of the game, because I think there's a lot to take in from it. I think there's a lot that we can say about it. Obviously, as Buff fans, I'm assuming that every one of us believe that we should have won that game. And while I 100% agree and think it absolutely should have ended up with a great comeback victory instead of what it became, there are some things to take away positively. Obviously, there are some big negatives that led to the loss. But I want to look at the overall picture again, talk to you guys, find out your thoughts, what you thought overall of the game, what you want to see change, what you think will change, and what are your thoughts now as the season progresses. You know, obviously coming off the high of the UCF victory, I think everybody was thinking, okay, we know where we're going with this. Now with this loss, you know, does that change? Does that stay the same? Where are you at today on your Sunday or whenever you're watching this video? So make sure that if you are in here live, comment, let me know. I will be answering all of your comments, questions, concerns. And if you're watching this later on, feel free to drop a comment down below and I will respond to it. I do read all the comments, the good and the bad. So I do appreciate you guys joining us and doing this. So first, let's get out of the way just a couple of news and notes. Obviously, the injuries last night did not serve us well. I'll have more on that here in a little bit as far as my thoughts overall of the game and the injuries. But the biggest thing I would like to start with is just saying how tragic and sad it was to see Omarion Miller go down the way that he did. The broadcast did not show the replay of that very many times, but if you go back and watch it, if you have a live stream of it somewhere, it did not look good. His leg folded up under him really bad around the ankle shin area. When I saw it live happen, I was almost positive that he definitely broke his leg, you know, either the lower part of his leg or around the ankle area. And I'm pretty sure from what Coach Prime talked about last night and what's coming out, I guess Uncle Neely also said it looks like it's a break. So, you know, prayers up for Omarion. He did an unbelievable job coming in and being the lead wide receiver for us. He did an absolutely tremendous job getting us back in that game. He's probably one of the biggest reasons that we had a chance to win at the end. So big ups to him. I hope, and don't take this wrong, guys, if you're listening to this, I hope that was not the last time that we see Omarion Miller in a Buffs jersey. I know a lot of people think that he will transfer just because of his usage this season. I just really hope that that's not the case, because the kid has a very, very, very bright future ahead of him. And I hope that it's going to continue here on the Buffs going forward. So just wanted to start off by talking about that before we get into the rest of it. And of course, let's just hope that the Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn injuries aren't that serious. Again, we don't have any word yet on how serious or what they were. We can only speculate. And so, you just have to hope and pray that both of them come back, or if at minimum Travis comes back. It seemed like he wanted to give it a go, came out of the locker room with that giant shoulder strap that you could see underneath his jersey. Seemed like he wanted to come out and give it a go. My guess is, if I'm being honest, that Coach Prime probably shut him down and said, no, you're not going out there. He definitely believes in the fact that these boys have a bright future. And I could see him saying, hey, a regular season game like this is not going to be something that you're going to try and put your career in jeopardy by going back out there with this type of injury. And so I think that's what kind of happened. Again, we don't know, but he did come out with his pads with the shoulder strap on. If he didn't have that on, it'd be a little different, but it seemed like he definitely wanted to try and give it a go and wasn't allowed to. Jimmy Horn came back, had his pad still on, but same kind of thing. No idea what was going on with him. It looked to be, again, speculation, but looked to be some kind of leg injury he was grabbing in his right leg after that catch he had in, I think it was the first or second quarter. It was so early for both of them, which brings me to my other point. And I want to hit this right off the bat as you guys join in, as you guys are watching and listening. The big thing I want to talk about before we get into the really logistics and the really bad, because obviously there is bad to that game, I do want to say something that, again, not trying to make excuses for it, but if somebody had told me that we would lose Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter at the beginning of the game, I would have expected that we would have struggled and potentially lost the game by a lot more points. That's just the way it is, especially Travis. We saw what happened last year when we lost Travis in that series of 4 games, including the CSU game. I think we struggled after that. And last night, I think the offense struggled a little bit. We did pick it up. I mean, big props to Will Shepard, LeJounte Wester. Obviously, Omarion came in and did a lot. And Draylon Miller, he also did a lot. Almost had his first touchdown as he was tackled at the 2-yard line before we finally got in. So the receiver room is deep. That's not the problem. The cornerback room, fine. I'm not gonna knock it because Colton Hood came in and got the pick that could have sealed the game and won it for us. And instead, we're talking differently, and that's not going to be as big of a play as it could have been. So losing Travis, though, on both sides of the ball, when you do lose him, it is a massive, massive thing to overcome. And I know I'm already hearing K-State fans being like, our whole secondary went out with injuries in that fourth quarter. Absolutely, I get that. But I don't think any of them are on the same level as Travis, not to mention on both sides of the ball. When you lose your best player on both sides of the ball, that would have been like them losing their top corner and then losing, say Giddens on the offense. If that had happened to K-State, we'd be sing a little bit of different tune, because if you saw when Giddens did go out of the game there at the end for a little bit with what looked to be, I don't know, some sort of injury, they weren't able to get that first down. Like, we got a 3-and-out right away. We got the ball back in a situation where we should have been successful. Unfortunately, we weren't able to capitalize on it. And then, we luckily got the interception that brought us back into that game and gave us all hope that we were about to win that game. So with that being said, I think that's a big thing to take from this. I think that the team was resilient enough. Okay. But saying that the team last night played probably one of their not so great team games, obviously, top to bottom. I'm going to go over the PFF grades here in just a second, because I think that tells you a lot about what happened with that game and can kind of give you the gist of, we lost by 3 points to a ranked Kansas State team. And again, a lot of people are like, well, you guys said at the beginning of the week that they weren't any good. You were going to blow them out, whatever that looks like. Absolutely. I still don't think, and again, with all of the circumstances and with how bad we played, K-State should have dominated that game. And I mean, like, gotten way ahead and stayed ahead. Their running game was doing everything that they wanted to, and they were controlling the clock. So with a 2-score lead and them being able to control the clock, that game should have been over. And instead, we got back in it somehow, through just enough that tells me all I need to see about K-State themselves. But when it comes to our team, not the greatest performance, not the greatest of performances. So let's look at the grades real quick. A couple things to note: pass blocking grades. I know a lot of people said that, hey, the offensive line did terrible or Shedeur did terrible, whichever one you wanted to pin kind of the issues and pressure and all of the sacks that were taken during the game on. Here is from PFF. Again, I'm not the don't kill the messenger on it. Okay. Jordan Seaton had an unbelievable game, guys. Graded out at an 87.7 pass blocking grade. Hank Zelinskis, 72.9, Kareem Harden, 72.5, Tyler Brown, 72.5, and Philip Houston, 67.1. Now, a lot of people were saying that Tyler Brown had an absolutely terrible game. The rating is okay. It's passable, but not great. But here is the big note that PFF has. Again, I am just the messenger. Don't kill me for saying it. But only Brown and Houston, Tyler Brown and Philip Houston, were credited with sacks on the night. Shedeur Sanders was credited with 4 of the 6 sacks in total. So they were saying he held the ball too long. He didn't go where he needed to go. I do remember, there was the one sack where Jordan Seaton did exactly what he was supposed to do. Guy went upfield trying to speed rush him. Jordan just guided him up the field. And, from past games, this has worked for Shedeur. But he spun out of it, trying to find some space, ended up spinning right into the path of that rusher. So that's not on Jordan Seaton for sure. He did exactly what he needed to do. I think for some reason it just seemed like at times Shedeur did not want to step up and in the pocket and kept trying to create space by going backwards. And that definitely caused a couple of the sacks and made the sacks honestly worse for the team, because now you're in a 3rd and 28, 3rd and 32 situation. Like, it was a lot of yardage that they had to make up because of those sacks. They weren't your run-of-the-mill, 10-yard sacks that happen in the pocket like Avery Johnson had, which, by the way, that's probably the one biggest benefit we could say about the defense last night, because, again, we'll talk about the defense here in a moment, was not what it needed to be for sure. But we did get to Avery Johnson quite a bit. We held him for the most part in check. We were sacking him when we needed to sack him. I mean, going into that game, K-State had only given up a few sacks. And then we go in and we get a number of sacks, including BJ Green getting a multiple sack game. So pass rush wasn't the bad part. Now, run defense, absolutely not good. So moving on from that, obviously, let's go into the defensive grades. So we have the overall defensive grades to cover, and this kind of tells you the story of how that game went. So the highest defensive grade of the game went to Shane Cokes, 68.7. Chidoze, 67.6. DJ McKinney, 66.2. BJ Green, 66.1. Levanta Bentley, 62.8. Cameron Silman Craig, 62.2. Preston Hodge, 53.9. Travis Hunter actually graded out at a 50.6, which kind of makes sense because he wasn't in the game for very long. And when he was, I think he got there was that slant on him, not his fault, but I mean, it's still there. So I could kind of see that. I don't know what else happened that he got that low of a grade. Okunlola, 50.5. Here's the bad one. Nikai Hill-Green, 43.3. So his worst game of the season. And then, of course, I mean, everybody's going to talk about it. We'll have to talk about it. Shiloh Sanders, a 28.7 grade. For a guy coming off an injury, I don't know what to say about that play, but it wasn't good. And I don't get why we kept him in that game. Absolutely do not get why he stayed in that game after the first few bad plays. In the past, Coach Prime has been very quick to bench players when they make even just 1 or 2 mistakes that are big enough. He was making some massive mistakes, getting beat every single time he was one-on-one with Giddens. It was just not good. And for him to continue to be in that game as the game went on, I don't have anything to say. I don't know what to say about that. That was not good. The next thing I want to talk about is the coverage grades against K-State. Again, they did not throw the ball very often, but when they did, they were successful. Colorado's coverage grades against K-State, the highest went to DJ McKinney at a 62.5, Preston Hodge 56.6, Cameron Silman-Craig 53.7, Travis Hunter 46.6, Shiloh Sanders 31.4, Colton Hood. Here's the positive of the game. Colton Hood 73.7. So Colton had a great game. And then here are the yards and stats allowed. Preston Hodge had 5 catches on him for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. McKinney, 4 catches on him for 39 yards, and Cameron Silman-Craig, 3 catches for 50 yards. And that was the gist of the passing in the game. So they didn't do much in the air, which, again, we kind of thought that was going to happen. The goal that we talked about going into the game was get them to pass the ball and you will succeed. And if I'm being honest, minus the last drive, which, again, we'll get to, they stopped the pass. When Avery Johnson had to pass, he was not doing that well. Like, he was really good completion-wise, not getting the yardage he needed, obviously getting the sacks, not getting, the scrambling that he would have normally. I thought we did a decent enough job of containing him when it came to him going back to pass. So there's a positive in what we thought was going to be a very difficult task. Now, a lot of people are going to say, hey, Russ, your prediction was 34-17, we win. I also said that, if we stop the run, absolutely, it's going to be a blowout, and I thought we could. I don't know what we want to say about that because it was bad. Until I get the all 22 and actually look at it, it looked bad. It looked really bad. I mean, Giddens was able to get through. There was a hole every time for him. And then, of course, the skill. I will give all the props to Giddens. Probably the best running back we've seen all year. Probably the best running back we will see. Like, I know we're going to play Ollie Gordon, but he's not having the season right now that he usually has. So who knows what that's going to look like. But Giddens absolutely demolished us. I will give him all the credit in the world for how well he played. If I'm being honest, like, he won the game for K-State. The ability to keep drives going, the ability to make the big play, the ability to take so much time off the clock. Like, if he wasn't doing that, Colorado's offense was not that bad during the game. I mean, obviously we put up the points that we did, but that's just something to look at as far as what happened, really deep down. And again, I want to be smart when it comes to this, of just realizing, was it that bad of a game? It depends on how you look at it. It depends on how you look at it. If you expected a win, obviously it's bad because we don't get a win. But if you also talk about the circumstances and things going on, I mean, look at the stats. I mean, so Avery Johnson passed it only 23 times. His average is 17 and 19, so we kept around there. 224, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The 2 touchdowns is the hard part, especially passing. I mean, offensively, they had 2 rushing touchdowns. And listen to this. Outside of Giddens, Dylan Edwards went for 21 yards, 7 carries for 21 yards. Avery Johnson, 7 carries for -15. That does include sacks, but, he didn't torch us. He got a touchdown. His longest run was 10 yards, guys. His longest run was 10 yards. We did what we needed to do with Avery Johnson. The problem is when you look at DJ Giddens' stat line, 182 yards on only 25 carries. That is absolutely insane, with the longest of 26, no touchdowns. And then, of course, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which was the running game for us. We tried to get it going early. It was not successful at all with Dallin Hayden. I did notice, at least I think, again, I will wait until I see the all 22. I saw a running back that seemed to miss a couple holes that might have given him a better chance. It seemed like a couple times he was just running into the back of the line. Not sure if he didn't know the play, not sure if the hole just developed and he didn't see it, or what. Did not start off well. We didn't see him again. 7 carries, 11 yards. That is it. Isaiah Augustov, 3 carries for 10 yards, a little bit better, plus the touchdown. Shador, what can we say about that? The sacks just were immense in how big and long they were. So he ended up with negative 50 yards. So overall in the game, negative 29 yards and a touchdown versus 188 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus the 2 touchdowns passing. Shador got quarterback stats fine. I mean, if you just look at the stat line, you might think we won the game. 34 of 40, only 6 incompletions, 388 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, the number 1 receiver of the game, Omarion Miller, and he went out 8 catches, 145 yards, with his longest being the 51-yarder that he got hurt on. Will Shepherd came and did what he had to do. He had the really bad drop. It didn't hurt us. Okay. He got the touchdown a few plays later. So we can kind of look past that. We've got to understand he is, I don't know what's going on with him with these drops. It's at least once a game, it seems like, but not really. I think it's like 3 drops all season. So Will Shepherd, 5 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown. LeJonte Wester, 5 catches, 58 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then the rest, spread out, just enough. Draylon Miller, 5 catches, 27 yards, did fairly well on top of that. And of course, only 1 turnover each. Shador threw that absolutely horrendous pick. I don't know what happened. The ball sailed on him, wrong route. I don't know, but that was absolutely horrible. It also happened right after Omarion Miller's injury. So maybe that played into it of, seeing one of your good friends in that position. If you've played sports, you know that when a teammate has that kind of horrific of an injury that is going to be, season altering potentially. I think it's kind of hard to come back from that. It makes it super, super hard to get back in the game after seeing that and seeing your teammate struggle. As far as the defense goes, Cameron Silman-Craig, 1 sack, BJ Green, 2 sacks, Tajay McCoy got a sack. So 4 sacks when I think Kansas State had only allowed 2 or 3 sacks all season. That says a lot about just that part of the game. Obviously, the part we wanted to have in order to be successful was the run game, and I still don't know why. It just didn't seem like we were playing to stop the run correctly. Either we were calling the wrong plays. I don't know. If you're out there and or you think what was wrong with our run defense, let me know. Obviously, the easy answer could be, hey, Shiloh Sanders got beat every time. Here's my thing. The ball shouldn't be getting to him every single run. The ball needs to be stopped at the line of scrimmage. The ball needs to be stopped at the linebackers. I mean, that's the 3rd level that is Shiloh Sanders. And yeah, he played absolutely horrendous, which led to a lot of the big plays, which at the beginning of the season was not the case. Shiloh was making those tackles, and so they weren't getting those big plays. And that's, I think, why we were doing just enough. It was the bend but not break scenario. So yeah, I mean, and another thing I want to talk about real quick, because I've heard this, and let's go with this. Yep, we just talked about that, the basement. I literally just gave the PFF grades. That is absolutely horrendous. So 100%. I just meant that it isn't completely on him. Absolutely 100%. Unbelievably horrible game. Still don't know why he stayed in that game and why they didn't sub him out when it was multiple times. But the other point I wanted to make was it wasn't good across the board, because the ball was getting through the offense or defensive line easily every time. And the linebackers were also not doing well with tracking the ball. The one thing I want to make a comment about most of all, and you guys tell me if you agree on this, because I've talked about this before. The thing that I love about our defense this year is that Colorado was a sure tackling team. I cannot remember before last night how many times I has to be on one hand where a defensive player broke a tackle, right? Like I said, that was my biggest comment of why I love the improvements of this defense was they were playing sure tackling football, and that was getting them off the field. They weren't getting the turnovers they did last year, where they seemed like they were only trying for turnovers with the previous defensive regime. And then all of a sudden last night, it seemed like every play they were going for the strip. And Giddens, it was like he knew that was going to be keyed in. And he didn't care if he didn't get, another 10 yards trying to beat guys. Like as soon as he was, surrounded, he had both hands on the ball and was not getting that stripped. And so I don't know what changed. I don't know what philosophy they saw. I don't know what mentality we saw. Exactly, Rennie, you get it. The main reason the defense was improved was because of the tackling. Unbelievable tackling all season. North Dakota State, Baylor, UCF last week was an unbelievable tackling clinic by the defense. And all of a sudden, now we're going to play, torpedo game where we're going to shoot our bodies for the ball to try and get them to fumble every time, but they're going to bounce right off us and get more yards. That I did not get. Look how Sam and Craig had been flying to the ball when Shiloh was out. They altered their defense to incorporate Shiloh. He is too slow. I don't even know if he's too slow, but he was hesitant. So yeah, I think just overall speed and who he is personally is probably different. But yeah, I agree. He was 100% hesitant. That could have been the fact that he's missed games and now you're getting put back in the spotlight. A lot of people said this reminded me of when Travis Hunter came back from injury and got, torched, so to speak, on defense. I don't think it's that easy to come back and immediately be in that kind of role. I don't know what we were doing by doing that. Game, we reverted back to last year's defense. Absolutely. It looked like last year's defense, 100%. Running back was through the hole before Shiloh got there. It's a whole lot easier to make a tackle in the hole than the open field. I would agree with that. That's a good assessment, I guess, when I'm asking the question of, what's to blame on that. I would say 100%. I would trade the sacks for the sure tackling. Same. I mean, that's what's been working. We haven't needed to sack the quarterback because everything else behind it has been doing its job, that we didn't need that part of the game. Similar to the teams we play, they need that part of the game because their secondary is not as good as our secondary can be. Our linebackers can be. I mean, look at the grades we had. Bentley was getting tied up with O-linemen instead of tracking the ball and plugging gaps. Yeah, again, watching some of those plays, the linebackers just weren't hitting the right holes. So I don't know if that was bad game planning. I don't know if Kansas State did some different things that the team just wasn't prepared for. That could be. We won't really know, obviously. We'd never get to find that out unless you know somebody on the team personally or they come out and say it, which they usually don't. So 100%. It's a tough thing. And you guys probably missed how I started the show, which was, the little bit of good that came out of this. And again, a loss is a loss. It's never a good loss when you lose a game. But again, everybody in the chat, if you're here, if I told you that Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn would go out in the first quarter and not come back, would you guys say we would win that game? Like any game left on our schedule, okay? Say they're healthy, they come back. If both of those guys go out with injuries, do you think we have a chance at winning a game? Especially against, a ranked team. Again, I don't think Kansas State's that good. The fact is that they didn't take advantage of what I just said. A 3-point victory against that kind of shell-shocked team where we were missing 3 receivers at one point. I get they were missing their secondary in the fourth quarter, but they weren't missing their secondary the rest of the game. They were not missing their secondary the rest of the game. Shiloh was trying to do too much. I rewatched the tape. He was out of position a lot. Sometimes he was in the backfield when Giddens was moving the gaps. He wasn't there to help. He definitely looked out of place. He looked like some guy who hasn't played for 2 weeks and hasn't done anything in 2 weeks. I know he has, but that's the only thing I could say. SB Wharton, thanks for dropping in. Think about it. If Shiloh's a coach's son, doesn't have to tackle, why should I have to tackle? It hurt myself. That's probably the mentality of the other players in the team. I think it was just, I don't know. They thought maybe when Travis went down, they're like, okay, we need to step up. The defense needs to be better. We need to create some turnovers and give Shedeur the ball more. I don't know. Okay, I don't know if it was a coaching thing or not. KSU was pulling guards, so linebackers were forced to take on 300-pound O-linemen. You saw that several times for sure. And when he was there to help, he did not wrap around. He never wraps, though. Shiloh doesn't fully. He likes to lay the wood and get that hit and then wrap. But I guess you're right. I mean, he didn't wrap at all. He just tried to go like a missile at a player, and Giddens was bouncing off him, making him look embarrassing. I mean, I'm sorry, but that one play is just the worst. So sources right now, by the way, looking like Omarion Miller did break his ankle. That's the rumor, but definitely a broken bone, so he's done for the season. And again, I said this earlier to those of you guys in the chat. I really, really hope that wasn't the last of Omarion Miller in a Buffs jersey. I really do hope he comes back. I hope he does not transfer out. He is one of the most brightest young talents that this team has. And so I am really, really sad for him and upset because he looked so good last night. We needed Travis because of his DB skills. We need him in coverage. We could have won the game with our existing wide receivers because we were deep there. Absolutely. We did. We almost won the game with our receivers. Let's be honest. Okay, let's be honest. Shiloh was successful hitting opponents and causing them to fall without wrapping up HBCU, but that doesn't work in D1. Can probably agree with that. Team loss. Yeah, Shiloh isn't good as Stoutmire, but team loss. It happens. 100%. 100%, buddy. You got it. And that's what I said at the beginning. Front to back, it was a bad performance all around. If I was being honest, the only player that was perfect through the night, I think, would be Mark Vassett. Can we say that Mark Vassett was the only player to have like a top to bottom good night, which isn't good. He had 2 plays. He punted inside the 10-yard line, plus one that went inside the 20 that went out of bounds where he didn't kick to Dylan Edwards. And hey, special teams didn't allow a touchdown. That's good, I guess. And field goals were perfect. So, guys, do we say that was a good special teams game? That's kind of sad. That's really sad. Omarion Miller is our top 3 wide receiver skill-wise. Well, and next year he'll be our top 1. Let's be honest. He'll be our top 1. He will be the best receiver on this team. So I do hope he sticks around. Why wasn't the player who injured Omarion suspended from the game? So SB Wharton, just so you know, the drop tackle that player did, that is only an NFL rule. There is not a rule in college football for a drop tackle. So that is why he was not. But that was a quintessential drop tackle that has been outlawed in the NFL. And so had that happen, in the NFL, it would have been different. Let's just get to 6 wins and get a bowl game. Buddy, I think we're okay. Okay? I think this is a good transition. Thank you for the comment. Appreciate it. This is where I think we need to go from here. Okay, guys, was it a good game? No. Did we only lose by 3 points? Yes. Did we have a chance or should have won that game? Yes. I don't want to, really harp on it, but the play calling on that last drive, like, I don't get it. I think it's the same thing that probably Baylor's coach had to deal with in the Hail Mary of like, why didn't you just sit everybody back in the end zone? Why are you playing man and not playing, prevent defense on a Hail Mary play? Last night, even if we want to stick with man, by the way, I'm not even that mad about man, but why are we playing press coverage when we know they need a touchdown and they only have so much time left? Like, honestly, I'm fine with them giving a little bit of space, giving a little help over the top. That is what I just don't get. I don't. Coach's sons are supposed to be leaders in the team. They tried to play hero ball all night and it cost them the game. I mean, both had their moments. Why is Coach Prime so addicted to 10 personnel? They ran 10 personal plays for running backs the entire game. Well, basement, they did, except for one play, and it was probably our most successful run play, our touchdown. We had 2 tight ends in. They made a big deal about it on the broadcast that we went two tight ends. 2 tight ends. We need to fix our real route defense. We got torched in UCF as well. Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw this, but On3 interviewed Boateng after his recruiting visit last night. And his comments were very interesting because he said, I like what I saw because they have a vision for me. I can play early. I can be a big part of this team. I can be an asset of this team. And one of the things he commented, and this just says everything that we need to know, guys. He commented that I know that I can cover wheel routes really well, and I believe that I can be a big part of the defense. So when a recruit is commenting on the wheel routes, that's not a good thing. Do I think we're going to get him as a recruit? Probably not. We'll see. We'll see. That was a big chance. Had we come back and won that game, I think we have a better chance at it. The atmosphere was good. The fans were good. Did what they needed to do. Nothing beats a October Saturday night in Folsom. Weather was absolutely perfect. So that was on our side, but who knows with that game if we're going to get, the recruits that we were planning to get. The real game though, that's going to be important. And I said this before, because some people were commenting, oh, we're never getting a recruit again after that game. The Cincy game is going to be the big recruiting weekend. So think UCF's weekend last week. That's going to be our Cincy game. And so let's just hope we need to have a good game that weekend to show where we're going and what we're going to do. But as far as where we're going, guys, we have still got plenty of winnable games on the schedule. Okay. We have got plenty winnable games on the schedule. So next week we are at Arizona. Arizona got blown out this week. They are not the same team. Now, the big question is Travis going to play? Because if we can do double teaming of T-Mac the whole game, I think we have a very good chance to have a good bounce back win. Here's the other thing I want to say. I do think that we're going to have a bounce back, because I don't think these boys are happy with what happened. I think there's a lot of people that are going to see video of what happened and are going to be really upset and frustrated. And what we've seen is this team does respond. Okay. We saw what happened after Nebraska and how we've slowly evolved. It's unfortunate that we reverted back to some old habits. And I think that that's going to change. So next week, very, very big at Arizona. Then we have that Cincy game that's going to be massive at home. Both games winnable. Okay. I think the hardest two games left on the schedule are going to be at Texas Tech. Texas Tech has been an up and down team all year, but having to go to Lubbock is going to be the hard part. That could be a pretty good win. Utah, who knows what kind of team they are. They weren't good when Cam Rising was injured, and then Cam Rising comes back and plays absolutely atrocious and they lose. So depends on which Cam Rising they get. So that's two games where I'm kind of questionable. Kansas, we cannot lose to now. We cannot lose to Kansas. We're playing at Arrowhead, so it's not even really going to be a college atmosphere. So I kind of take away the home field advantage there. And then KU has just played so bad this year that if we lose that game, that is not a good sign for our program. So right now I've got three for sure wins. So that puts us at 7. 3 games that we have to win. That puts us at 7. And then that Oklahoma State game, I think that's another important game for us at the end. And 7, 8 wins. If we end up with 8 wins by somehow beating them at the end of the season, still successful, season. We need 2 wins to be bowl eligible, and we could have those in the next 2 weeks. Those are very, very winnable games the next 2 weeks. And I want to see that. I really, really do. Randy, we played the number 18 team in the country without our best player and our best wide receivers and almost won the game. We are an improved team. I think overall we still are an improved team. I do agree with that, because the depth showed when they went out. I think the receiver room this year is way better than last year's. Obviously last year's was good, but I think it's better this year. And so when we lose our 2 best receivers and the other guys step up and look wonderful, that shows where we're at. The couple of things that I still need to see, which is not showing me the improved team, is some of the play calling. Obviously, the defense at the end, I don't know who made those decisions. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the philosophy is. I don't know if that's Robert Livingston. I don't know if that's Coach Prime. I know Prime does like to play not only man coverage, but he also likes to play press coverage. Like, he teaches his cornerbacks all the time about press coverage, because that was what he loved being a cornerback, was going straight up, being physical with the wide receiver, and then, doing what you needed to do. And that was not what we needed on that last drive. So, we look at the schedule. Things are not over. Okay. The sky is not falling. For those of you watching, every time I've lost 20 subscribers or more. Like literally an hour later, if I pull up my subscriber count, it drops significantly. It's kind of sad where we sit at when that happens. And it's kind of funny how that happens, not only me, but all of the content creators. And I get it. You guys are angry. There's Colorado fans angry out there that you've, defended this team and cheered on this team, and for that to happen. And now you have to hear it from fans and all that stuff. So, it is what it is there. But yeah, I just think it's frustrating. It's frustrating for sure. I thought for sure we'd be talking about a win and talking about, what we could improve on. It's frustrating. It really is as a Colorado fan. I do think that we kind of beat ourselves. Again, I'll give all the credit in the world. To K-State. I will. I'm not going to say that they didn't deserve to win in the end. They did. But the fact that we came up that short, is frustrating. It's different than we had have come up short against Baylor. If we don't get that Hail Mary, I think that's a little bit different. This one, just with the circumstances of losing the players we did and getting so close and having the lead and looking like we were going to win this game and having that defensive stance at the end of the game, just not what we want to see. The scouting was to have Avery Johnson to beat CU with his arm instead of the run. CU gambled and lost. And here's the funny thing. I don't know if they did gamble and lost. They did on the last drive, but if you look at the game, Avery Johnson didn't do much. We stopped him. The problem was we didn't do the one thing we all said had to be done, which was stop the running game. Giddens ran all over us the whole night, and we still almost won that game. Like, we talked about that. I said, if they stop the run and only force Johnson to beat us, that he wouldn't be able to the whole game. Now, again, we talked about this. We talked about it against NDSU. We talked about it against UCF. Okay. Both those teams. Did we give up big passing plays to both those teams? Yes. Okay. But we focused so much on the run that they had absolutely nothing, that they were forced to pass, and it did enough. We got the turnovers against UCF because they were forced to pass. I wanted us to be even more all in on stopping the run than we were, and really get beat throughout the game. Obviously, in the last drive of the game, when you're up and they need a touchdown, yeah, you don't press like you're going to play the run. That's where you don't gamble on getting beat by the pass, because they can only pass at that point. They can only pass. Frustration for me is that they have more talent than every other team in their schedule, but due to inconsistent play and coaching, they will lose 4 to 5 games. I don't think they'll lose 4 to 5. But I agree with what you said. It is frustrating. We know what this team can be. I said it all last week. You guys, make sure you're watching our shows. I said it. The bar had been raised for this team. We knew their potential, okay? They hit that potential against UCF and had a really good game. Can we consistently hit that potential and play like that regularly? That's what championship teams do. And last night's game was not that. It was not that. Sky's not falling. I just felt as though we were better on defense. I agree. I know the O-line is what it is, but the bad tackling surprised me a lot, 100%. My most disappointment is in the defense last night, not the offense. I mean, the offensive line, it's been the same all season. So I'm not blaming the offensive line for that loss, and I don't think anybody is. We can talk about, what caused the sacks, what could they do better. We still had a good offensive game. Okay, we had a good offensive game and had a chance to win. The defense just did not hold up its end of the bargain enough, like they have in past games. And if they did do and maybe get off the field 1 or 2 more times, I think that game is completely different, and we do come away with the blowout that it was looking like. That's what this looks like. Yep, they couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. Yeah, it is. Hello, Shirley. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Yep. According to PFF, only Brown and Houston were credited with sacks. Shedeur Sanders was credited with 4 of 6. Yep. Talked about that in the first 5 minutes. That is not a good thing. I don't know what was going on. Every game is different. But yesterday, Shedeur was taking 8, 10-step drops. And then when he felt pressure, instead of stepping up, and when he did step up, it was successful. Note that. He still did it and it worked. But there were a lot of plays where he decided not to step up and he decided to do his run out, except his offensive linemen did the right things. They were getting beat on speed rushes. So what do? You guide them down the field and let them miss the quarterback. It creates the pocket for you to step up in. They did that, but for whatever reason, Shedeur started to roll out, and that caused a couple of the sacks. The defense, so trash. It was trash yesterday. I will give that 100%. It was not good. Okay. Colton Hood is the only defensive player that had a good game. And Pro Football Focus agrees. He is the only one that had a good game. We had them in a lot of third and longs and we let them convert. Yeah. Well, what was really frustrating for me, Rennie, was they converted some longer third downs, mind you, by running the ball. Like, if I was K-State in that game, I wouldn't have passed the ball. I don't know why they ever passed the ball or even attempted to. The run game was successful every time, even when we knew it was coming. So why aren't you, like, honestly, second and third down, I was like, just run the ball. Don't let Avery Johnson throw it, because he was throwing behind guys. He was throwing, plays he shouldn't have. He was staring down receivers. It was not that great. And it led to that interception that nearly won us the game because they decided we're not going to run the ball like we needed to. They were winning and they didn't run the ball, and they are a running team. So if anything, you guys, K-State fans should be questioning their own play calling, if I'm being honest. Opposing teams have scouted Shador's spin out to the left under pressure. He needs to install. Yep, I said that. The basement, you're right there with me. I said that when it happened in the game. I said, that is on tape. They knew that was coming. That's why they were sending the guys downfield so far. And they got a couple of big time sacks because of it. And he just spun right into it. Agreed. Yep. Shador's touchdown pass was him. It was successful. And he had a couple runs, Shador did, that was successful where he stepped up and there was all this space. I don't know why he kept doing it. I don't know why he didn't keep stepping up. It was very, very interesting. I think we can win a couple more of these games. Beast, I've already said the next two are wins. They have to be, because on paper, we are better than both of these teams. Okay. I don't care going on the road to Arizona. I don't care it's on the road. We absolutely need to beat Arizona. Okay. We almost beat them last year and they are a worse team this year. Okay. Stop T-Mac and they're done. And then the week after that at home against Cincy is going to be the most important game of the season. And I say that not because of who we're playing, but it's because it's going to be the biggest recruiting weekend of the season. And it's going to be the most important recruiting weekend. And we need to show up and have a good game. We win those two games, we're bowl eligible. And this season has been a success because we've improved. Okay. It needs to be improvements every year. We cannot have the same. If we go 4-8, one, I can only imagine what people are going to say, but two, that is not what we want to see out of this team. Okay. That's not what we want to see out of this team. So overall, we're going to be looking at it, we better than K-State. They got lucky. Next time they meet it will be different. Beast, I hope so. Here's the problem that I have with that. That was going to be our best opportunity to beat K-State. We've now got to go on the road eventually to play them, and Avery Johnson is going to be a much more seasoned quarterback. We're going to most likely have a younger quarterback room next year unless we go in the portal. So having Shador and Travis, but again, losing Travis for the game, that was our big chance to make a statement win for sure. They're going to be tough. K-State is going to be tough going forward. Shador never played under center. Makes defense have an easier time to get to him. I would love to see him under center. I've talked about that. I would love to see him under center. I would love to see some bootleg. Yeah. KSU played better than us. We have to give them credit. We didn't play better than them. 100%. I said that. I give them full credit. No matter what. I said partially we beat ourselves, but yeah, they did what they had to do in the clutch plays at the end. I will give them 100% credit on that last drive. Avery Johnson threw a perfect ball. By the way, there's a lot of people out there that said Preston Hodge got burned. Go back, watch that play, slow it down. Go look at the pictures. Preston Hodge is in a great position defensively. He is. And that ball was so perfectly played. So perfectly played. And it was a great catch. So that you just got to tip your cap to that. Different play call to maybe get some help. Sapp definitely going to get into Dion's ass for not giving his defense time to rest. Fast scoring ain't always the best way. I kind of said that when Colton took back the interception and tripped. I actually was not upset. I thought to myself, oh, we can now take some more time off the clock and score and not leave Kansas State with more time. Or obviously the 2-minute drive that we scored a touchdown after K-State had just done a 10-minute drive. we didn't do as much as we needed to do. I don't think that played into the full overall what happened in the game, but I think we could be a little bit more complimentary when it comes to that. But on top of that, James, the problem too is we were losing and time was running out. You don't know how much time you're going to get. You don't. I rewatched the tape. KSU's O-line was a clinic on how to block. They have been all year. They had only allowed, I think, 2 sacks all season long or some ridiculous number. Avery Johnson has not been touched. The running game is so good. So as far as the run blocking, great. We have to give it, though. Our pass rushers did what they had to do to get 4 sacks against K-State when they are one of the top teams in the country for not giving up sacks. That's the one thing we can give our hats off to. We rushed the passer. We did. We rushed the passer. We shut down Avery Johnson, by the way. Okay. His yardage wasn't great. His longest run was 10 yards. Okay. Other teams have allowed him to go 80, 60 yards for a touchdown. We stopped him. That was the only part that we stopped, though. Only part that we stopped. Not good enough. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for this Sunday. Appreciate you guys coming in. Make sure to hit that like on your way out. Hit it right now if you're watching real quick before you leave. Don't hit the X button until you hit the like. It's free. It's easy to do. Of course, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. As always, we lost a ton of subscribers. So let's get that number back up. But yes, I appreciate you guys all so very much. Buddy, James, Beast, Basement, Rennie, Northside dropping in at the end. Sorry that you were at the game for that. When CU was getting sacked, they went max protection. Have a great day. Appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you guys come back. I'm going to look for a video breakdown. I want to look at this week a little bit, the defense, because obviously I think that was the biggest struggle. Let's look at the run game. So I'm going to do a video on that this week. Plus, of course, Wednesday, the Buff Blitz. We'll talk about the game with David Talks Buffs, and we will preview the Arizona game. So make sure you're back Wednesday night for that. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, Sko Buffs. See you guys next time.
Give me my theme music.